In this final review, we're going to think about what's coming next for us as a church, particularly what's on the agenda for 2023, but also what might it look like to serve the gospel here and support gospel work elsewhere. How do we go forwards as a church? It's the third review video, which means we're in a new room of the house. This one's a bit colder, hence the scarf. 2023, what's on the agenda? We're starting 2023 with our annual meeting. Now, the heart of that meeting is to pray, look back on what has gone on in our first year as a church, and look ahead to what's coming, and to pray about it, to commit ourselves to the Lord. But there are two particular things which we'll do in that annual meeting. We will receive and can discuss the annual report. Now, these videos are that annual report. There'll be a written version of these videos as well that you can read at your own leisure. We will have a chance to talk about this review and share any comments we've got. Also, we will elect any new trustees. I mentioned this in the last video. The trustees manage our legal and financial obligations as a charity and as a church, and it has an important advisory role as well. We can have and would like another trustee, and information about how you can be nominated for that will be made available and on the website as well. If that's something on your mind as a possibility, I would love you to talk to me about it. That's the annual meeting, Wednesday the 4th of January, right at the beginning of the new year. But also in the new year, we're hoping to run a Christianity Explored course, or courses. We're gathering a list of people who are interested, and then we'll set aside a time and a date. We've got the privilege of contact with people who are interested and are asking questions about the faith. And we would love to be able to give a space to talk about those questions and to talk about what we believe. Let's pray for that. And again, also in the new year, we will be exploring recruiting further staff. Part of the money given to us as a church is for the precise purpose of expanding the ministry we're doing through employing further staff. At the moment, I'm the only employee of the church. Loads of us are doing various responsibilities around the church. But there's a lot to do. The trustees have encouraged me to ask what are the gaps or opportunities that another staff member might fill, or what work could we free me up from or someone else from, so we can use our gifts and our time better. The trustees are aware, like I said, that there is a lot to do already. Sarah is volunteering nearly full-time, and that's something we want to continue. She was a families worker at St. Philemon's before Joshua was born, and she wants to be involved in ministry in this kind of voluntary way. But it does highlight just how much work there is to do. And that's a great thing. But we want to be wise in how we spread our resources and how we use me, how we use each of us. What I'd love from you actually is your thoughts or comments about what are those gaps and opportunities that you think we should be investing in for the future. Exciting, but that's staff. As the year goes on, we would love to expand our work amongst children. We want to build on the work of the Light Party and Christmas Party, and perhaps add more parties, pancake parties, Easter parties, and maybe a more regular children's club down the line. We'll see. I think and hope also that we're going to be expanding our number of teams in 2023. We don't want them to get so big that they feel cramped or hard to join, so we'd love them to multiply. In the spring, we're going to look at having a day away. I was thinking very hard about whether we could do a weekend away this year. Thank you for your different responses to the little survey I put out. Practically, that showed me that we can't quite pull it off this year. Not enough of us are available on the same weekends, for instance. But a day away would be a great step towards something like a weekend away, and I think it would be a really fun thing for us as a church, a really important thing for us as a church. We'll look at doing something like that in springtime. The last thing to say on 2023 is that we're still searching for a building and a bigger space to meet in. If and when that door opens, we will move from the Salvation Army, and we won't rush that until we get a place that we think is right, but it might become more of a need as the year goes on, and it'll be a big step for us. So that will be rumbling, I expect, throughout 2023 as well. There's lots more going on, but that gives you just a sense of the agenda. So serving gospel work here, part of our commitment as Christians is to serve in the body. And most of that is in unofficial ways of just loving each other, loving the people around us, our neighbours, and serving them. But there are particular things we can do to serve the church and serve in the church. And so I just want to update you on the different areas we're already aware of. And any of these areas would welcome more help. And so have a think if any of these might be a way you could serve us. Maybe you have expertise or gifts. Maybe you just have time to give. Our children's team is headed up by Sarah and Rebecca, with Erica leading the creche. And I'm sure we're going to need more creche helpers, Sunday Club teachers as things develop. And we've got hospitality team headed up by Margaret, with all the refreshments on Sundays and various other events. Similarly, the welcome team headed up by Alan. That's the role of welcoming people, particularly on Sundays, into church, particularly those who feel new. What an important job that is. Peter is our treasurer, and he's particularly asked if there are people who could help him with some of the many tasks he's getting his head around. Even relatively small things like helping with gift aid forms could be a real help. Sarah looks after our social media and online stuff at the moment, but anyone with talents for that is more than welcome to share them. It really does serve the church. John's heading up text team. Sarah's heading up the music team. Seelock and Erica, they're putting a lot of time into the Hong Kongers in our area and in our church. I'm heading up a few teams at the moment: buildings team, preaching team, outreach team. If you'd like to be involved in any of those, I'd love to hear from you. Sarah's sorting out a lot of the safeguarding work. I've already mentioned trustees, and there's our teams as well. Now, that's a lot of stuff, but it shows that God has given us work to do. We are a building project, and our small service here is building something bigger, serving gospel work here. And so lastly, supporting gospel work elsewhere. And I just want to say here that we want to quickly cultivate an attitude, an approach where we are supporting gospel work elsewhere in Warrington and also further afield. Very practically, we plan to set aside 10% of all of our church's giving to mission work elsewhere. I would love to hear if there was a person or a ministry that you would love us to develop a personal partnership with. And finally, we're a year in and we're a product of churches and Christians who have sought to help the gospel spread. And I would love us to, even now, thinking and praying about how we can help the gospel spread in our region. Wouldn't it be great? And in the next year or two, we could play a little part in supporting gospel work being pioneered elsewhere in our neighbouring towns. Let's pray. Jesus is Lord. It's why we exist. We want to serve the gospel here, support gospel work elsewhere. And so that's the review. Lots more could be said, and at the annual meeting we'll have a chance to share your thoughts or comments.